The grand hall of the Draconian Empire gleamed with crystalline walls that pulsed with bioluminescent energy. Anna stood before the vast viewing screen, her scaled skin shimmering emerald green under the artificial suns that lit the throne room. Her wings, folded elegantly behind her back, twitched with barely contained contempt as she watched the human shuttle descend toward the Imperial landing platform. "Mother, you cannot be serious," Anna hissed, her forked tongue flickering between sharp teeth. "A human here, in our sacred halls." Empress Thalia, ancient and magnificent, sat upon her throne of living metal. Her silver scales caught the light like 1,000 mirrors, and her eyes, older than most civilizations, regarded her daughter with patient wisdom. "You will greet Ambassador Maruz with the respect befitting his station," the Empress said, her voice resonating through the chamber like distant thunder. Anna's tail lashed against the polished floor. "He's just a human, soft-skinned, short-lived. What could one of those creatures possibly have accomplished that deserves our respect?" "That is precisely what you will learn," Thalia replied. When Maruz entered the hall an hour later, Anna couldn't help but laugh. He was unremarkable, a man of perhaps 50 Earth years, his face weathered and scarred, one arm replaced by a crude mechanical prosthetic that looked like museum technology compared to draconian biografts. He wore a simple gray uniform with faded military insignia, and he walked with a slight limp. "This is the great ambassador." Anna circled him like a predator examining prey. "You look like you've been through a recycler." "Human." Maruz met her gaze steadily. His eyes were blue-gray, like Earth's storm clouds, and they held something Anna didn't expect. No fear, no anger, just a calm acceptance of her disdain. "Princess Anna," he said with a slight bow. "It's an honor. Don't patronize me." Anna's claws extended slightly. "My mother may have granted you an audience, but I know what humans are. Weak, fractured. Your species nearly destroyed itself before you even left your own planet. You're nothing but Anna." The Empress's voice cracked like a whip. "Enough." The princess fell silent, but her eyes blazed with defiance. Empress Thalia rose from her throne, her massive form unfolding to its full height. She descended the steps slowly, each footfall echoing through the chamber. When she reached Maruz, she did something that made Anna's blood run cold. The Empress of the Draconian Empire, ruler of 7 star systems and commander of fleets that had conquered 100 worlds, bowed her head to the human. "Commander Maruz," Thalia said, "welcome home." Anna's wings snapped open in shock. "Mother, what are you?" Silence. The word shook the very walls. The Empress turned to her daughter, her ancient eyes blazing. "You wish to know why I honor this human? Then you will hear the truth." Said it was not a request. Anna sank to the floor, her mind reeling. Thalia gestured to the viewing screen, and it came alive with images, old battle footage. Ships exploding in the void, worlds burning. 42 years ago, the Empress began. When you were barely hatched, our empire faced extinction. The Void Collective had invaded our territory. They were machines, endless and merciless. They adapted to every weapon, learned from every tactic. We were losing. Anna had heard stories of the Void War, but the official histories said the Draconians had won through superior strategy and ancient battle wisdom. "We had 3 months before they reached our throne world," Thalia continued. "I was desperate. I reached out to every ally, every client wraith. Most refused. They knew we were doomed and didn't want to share our fate. But one species answered." The screen showed a small fleet of human ships, primitive by Draconian standards, jumping into battle. The humans sent what they could spare. It wasn't much. 7 ships, 300 soldiers. Thalia's voice softened. Maruz commanded them. Anna watched as the human fleet engaged the Void Collective. The ships were outmatched, their weapons barely scratching the enemy's adaptive hulls, but they fought with a ferocity that seemed impossible. "I told Maruz to evacuate when I saw how outmatched they were," the Empress said. "Do you know what he said?" Maruz spoke quietly from behind them. "I said we didn't fly across half the galaxy to run away." The footage showed a human ship ramming directly into a Void Collective dreadnought, its reactor overloading in a brilliant explosion that created a gap in the enemy formation. Then another. "They sacrificed themselves," Anna whispered, understanding dawning with horror. "They bought us time," Thalia corrected. "Time to evacuate our civilians. Time for reinforcements to arrive. Time for our scientists to develop the resonance weapon that finally stopped the collective." She turned to Maruz. "Of the 300 humans who came to our aid, 6 survived. Maruz was one of them." Anna looked at the human veteran with new eyes. The scars on his face, the mechanical arm, the limp, each one a story of sacrifice. "He spent 3 years in our military hospitals," Thalia continued. "When he recovered, He didn't return to Earth. He stayed to help rebuild the worlds the collective had devastated. He's served as a bridge between our species ever since. Anna rose slowly, her earlier arrogance crumbling to dust. She approached Maruz, and for the first time in her life, lowered her head to a being she had considered inferior. "Forgive me," she said, her voice thick with shame. "I spoke from ignorance." Maruz smiled gently. "You spoke from youth, princess. We all need to learn that strength isn't measured in scales or claws. Sometimes the strongest thing you can do is stand for those who can't stand for themselves." The Empress placed a clawed hand on her daughter's shoulder. "Remember this lesson, Anna. True nobility isn't about power. It's about what you do with that power." Anna nodded, understanding flooding through her. She looked at Maruz, this scarred, limping human who had given everything for people, not his own, and saw, not weakness, but a kind of strength her warrior culture had never taught her to recognize. "Will you teach me?" she asked. "About your people, about what you've learned." Maruz's storm-cloud eyes crinkled with warmth. "I'd be honored, princess." And in that moment, Anna began to understand what it truly meant to be strong.